People who use Randonautica often say the same thing. They say it's just a random location generator. The app doesn't know anything about you. Everything people experience is just coincidence. But the people who say that, they usually stop saying it after the first time something answers them back. This story comes from a series of first-hand accounts shared online in late 2020 during the height of Randonautica's popularity. Names have been changed for privacy, but the locations, timestamps, and screenshots were verified by multiple users who were present that night. This isn't a story about curiosity, this is a story about grief. Evan was 24 years old and lived in a quiet suburb just outside Spokane, Washington. He worked warehouse shifts, kept mostly to himself, and spent his evenings doing whatever he could to stay distracted. Because when he wasn't distracted, he thought about his brother. 6 months earlier, Evan's older brother Marcus had been killed in a hit-and-run accident. The driver was never found. There were no witnesses, no clear timeline, no closure, just a phone call at 2:13 in the morning. Marcus's body had been found on the side of an unlit road. From that moment on, Evan felt like something had been left unfinished, something unresolved, a question that refused to stay quiet. One night, a friend sent Evan a link. It was a video compilation of people using an app called Randonautica, people wandering into strange locations, finding objects that seemed too meaningful to be random, places that felt wrong the moment they arrived. Evan watched without much interest at first. But later that night, lying awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling, his thoughts drifted back to Marcus, to the unanswered questions, to the way the world had simply moved on. That's when Evan downloaded the app. When he opened Randonautica, it prompted him to set an intention. Evan stared at the screen for a long time. Most people typed things like adventure or creepy. Some typed money, others typed answers. Evan typed one word: closure. The app generated a location less than 10 minutes from his house. As soon as Evan saw the coordinates, his stomach tightened. The point was near a stretch of back roads he recognized immediately. It was close to the area where Marcus had been found. Evan told himself it was coincident. The city wasn't that big. The roads overlapped. Random meant random. Still, he grabbed his jacket and left the house. The closer he got, the quieter everything became. There were no cars. No wind, no insect, just the sound of his footsteps on gravel and the faint glow of his phone lighting the way. The coordinates led him to a narrow dirt pull-off beside the road, a place so ordinary that Evan had driven past it dozens of times without ever noticing. But standing there now, it felt wrong. The air felt heavy, thick, like the pressure before a storm. Evan hesitated. He considered turning around. That's when his phone vibrated. A notification appeared from Randonautica. It read, "Pay attention to anomalies." Evan frowned. He didn't remember seeing anything like that mentioned online. "What anomalies?" he whispered. Then he noticed the shoes. They were sitting just off the road, half buried in dirt and weeds. Old sneakers, white soles worn down and stained dark. Evan recognized them instantly. Marcus had worn those shoes almost every day, same brand, same tear near the left toe, same scuffed heel. Evan took a step back, his heart beginning to race. There was no way shoes like that were common. It had to be a coincidence, but his hands were shaking. He forced himself closer. Beyond the shoes, the grass looked pressed down, as if something heavy had been dragged across it. A trail, leading into the trees. Evan pulled out his phone and tried calling his friend. No answer. He called again, straight to voicemail. The woods ahead of him were silent, but not empty. Every instinct told him to leave, but something stronger pulled him forward. 20 feet into the trees, Evan found the jacket, Marcus's jacket, the black windbreaker he had been wearing the night he died. It was folded neatly over a fallen log. No blood, no damage, no explanation. Evan dropped to his knees. This wasn't coincidence anymore. This felt deliberate. His phone vibrated again. Another notification appeared. Intention acknowledged. Evan didn't remember the app ever responding like that. The temperature dropped suddenly. Evan could see his breath. From deeper in the woods, something moved. Not fast, not aggressive, just slow, purposeful. Branches shifted. Leaves crunched. Footsteps. "Marcus," Evan whispered. The footsteps stopped. Then a voice spoke from behind him. Low. Hoarse. "You shouldn't have asked." Evan spun around. his flashlight cutting wildly through the trees. There was nothing there, and then he ran. He ran without looking back. Branches clawed at his arms and face as he crashed through the woods, heart pounding so hard he thought he might collapse. Behind him, something followed, not running, walking, patient. Evan burst out onto the road and collapsed beside his car, gasping for air. The forest went silent again. No footsteps, no voice, just the night. Police later confirmed something Evan kept to himself for years. The shoes were Marcus's, the jacket was Marcus's. They had no explanation for how they ended up there. The case was reopened briefly, and then quietly closed. Unsolved. Evan deleted Randonautica that night. He never used it again. But sometimes, at exactly 2:13 in the morning, his phone vibrates. No notification, no app installed, just a vibration. And the feeling that something, somewhere, knows he got his answer. Thanks for watching. If you have a story you'd like to share, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one. Most people who use Randonautica don't go alone. They bring friends, they bring cameras, they bring laughter, curiosity, and the comforting belief that nothing truly bad can happen as long as someone else is there with them. This story began that way, with 4 friends, a shared joke, and an intention they thought was funny. They would later agree on one thing: whatever they encountered that night did not find the joke amusing. This account comes from multiple overlapping testimonies posted across Reddit, Discord, and archived livestream clips in early 2021, while the original videos were eventually deleted. Screen captures, audio fragments, and GPS data were preserved by viewers before everything vanished. The group consisted of 4 college students: Jenna, Luis, Mark, and Ashley. They lived near the edge of a mid-sized city in northern Texas, the kind of place where suburbs fade quickly into empty land, drainage canals, and forgotten access roads. They had been drinking lightly, not enough to blur reality, just enough to lower caution. Someone suggested Randonautica, someone else laughed, and someone typed the intention: "Something watching us." The app took longer than usual to generate the coordinates. That should have been the first warning. When the point finally appeared, it was less than 5 miles away, located near an abandoned flood control area the group vaguely recognized. They joked about it as they drove, about being hunted by skinwalkers, about cursed clowns, about how dumb the app was. But as they got closer, the jokes stopped. The road narrowed, streetlights disappeared, cell service weakened. The air outside the car felt different, cooler, heavier, even though the weather report said nothing about a temperature change. They parked near a locked metal gate. Beyond it stretched a concrete drainage channel, overgrown with weeds and bordered by dense trees on both sides. Mark was the first to say it. "I feel like we shouldn't be here." No one argued, but no one left. They climbed the gate. The moment all 4 feet hit the ground on the other side, Ashley's phone chimed. A Randonautica notification appeared. "Remain aware of your surroundings." Luis laughed nervously and pointed out that the app always said things like that. But Jenna noticed something strange. Her phone compass was spinning, not jittering, spinning. They walked deeper along the channel, flashlights cutting through the dark. Their voices echoed strangely, as if the sound wasn't traveling correctly. That's when they heard footsteps, not behind them, not ahead of them, beside them, matching their pace. Luis stopped walking. The footsteps continued. Ashley whispered, "Do you hear that?" The footsteps stopped. They stood in silence, flashlights aimed at the tree line. Nothing moved. No animals, no wind, no insects. The silence felt deliberate. Mark tried to laugh it off, but his voice cracked. They kept moving. And then Jenna noticed the first anomaly. There were handprints on the concrete, not smeared, not random, perfectly placed. Too many to count. Large, small, some with fingers too long to look normal, all facing the same direction, toward them. Ashley began recording. The video would later be taken down, but audio survived. You can hear someone whispering, "Why are they all facing us?" The footsteps returned. Closer this time, still unseen. Then the smell hit them, rotting meat, metallic like something dead that hadn't finished dying. Luis gagged and turned around. "That's it, we're leaving." As they turned back toward the gate, All 4 phones vibrated at once. Same notification. Intention acknowledged. Jenna's voice shakes in the recording. Why would it say that now? That's when the shadows changed. Their flashlights were still pointed forward, but something was blocking the light. Not solid, not fully visible. Just enough to warp the beam. Something tall standing where the channel narrowed. No face, no features, just a darker shape inside the dark. And it was swaying, not walking, not standing still. Swaying, like it was mimicking the way people stand when they're trying to look casual. Mark shouted, "Who's there?" The thing took 1 step forward, and the sound it made wasn't footsteps. It sounded like wet fabric dragging over concrete. Ashley screamed. The group ran. The audio becomes chaotic at this point. Heavy breathing, sobbing, frantic shouting. But one thing stands out clearly. A 5th set of footsteps, keeping pace, always just behind them. They reached the gate. Louise climbed first, then Mark. Ashley dropped her phone as she climbed, and the recording continued. Jenna was last. You can hear her crying, saying, "It's right there. It's right there." Then there's a sound that doesn't match anything else. A deep inhale, not human, not animal, like lungs that were too large. Jenna screams. The audio cuts out. Ashley retrieved her phone seconds later. Jenna was still there, alive, but different. She wasn't crying. She wasn't speaking. She was staring back toward the channel, smiling. Not relief, not hysterics, recognition. Police were called. They searched the area. They found nothing. No footprints, no evidence, no explanation for the handprints. Jenna refused to answer questions. She didn't sleep that night, or the next, or the next. 3 days later, she finally spoke. She told Mark that when she turned around at the gate, the thing leaned close to her ear and whispered, "You noticed me first." Jenna deleted all her social media within a week. She dropped out of school the next semester. Ashley stopped filming entirely. Luis moved back in with his parents. Mark still posts occasionally, and every once in a while, someone asks him about that night. He always replies with the same sentence. We weren't being watched. We were being acknowledged. Most Randonautica stories begin with an intention, a word, a thought, a focus point. This one didn't, and that's what makes it different. This account comes from multiple reports shared across TikTok, Reddit, and archived comment threads during the summer of 2021. The original videos were deleted within days, but transcripts, screenshots, and stitched reactions remain preserved by viewers who recognize something was wrong. The witnesses were 3 siblings. Ethan was 16, Caleb was 13, and Lily was 9. They lived with their mother in a quiet residential neighborhood on the outskirts of Dayton, Ohio. The kind of place where kids still rode bikes until sunset and parents felt safe letting them walk a few blocks unsupervised. The night this happened, their mother was working a double shift. She told them to stay inside. They didn't listen. Ethan had seen Randonautica videos online, creepy ones, weird ones, mostly fake looking, but boredom has a way of convincing people to ignore caution. Ethan downloaded the app. Caleb hovered over his shoulder, excited. Lily sat on the couch, swinging her legs and watching cartoons. Ethan opened Randonautica. The app loaded slowly, too slowly. Then the screen froze. The intention box never appeared. No prompt, no instructions. Just a loading symbol spinning endlessly. Caleb joked that the app was broken. Ethan was about to close it when the screen changed on its own. Coordinates appeared. No intention entered. No button pressed. Just a location. Less than half a mile away. Right near Maplewood Park. Lily looked up from the TV. I don't like that park at night, she said. Ethan laughed it off. Nothing's there. But that wasn't entirely true. Maplewood Park had an old playground, one that hadn't been updated in decades. Rusted swings, a cracked slide, faded animal-shaped rides with peeling paint and hollow eyes. Parents stopped taking kids there years ago, but the park was still open, still accessible, still waiting. They grabbed flashlights and left the house. The sky was already dark, but the neighborhood lights made the walk feel safe. Until they crossed the street into the park. The moment they stepped past the tree line, the temperature dropped. Not gradually, instantly. Caleb mentioned it first. It's cold all of a sudden. Ethan checked his phone. The coordinates pointed directly toward the playground. Lily slowed down. Why is it so quiet? She was right. No crickets, no wind, no distant traffic. The playground came into view. The swings were moving, not much, just barely swaying. There was no breeze. Ethan raised his phone to record. That's when Lily tugged on his sleeve. There's kids here. Ethan frowned. No, there aren't, Lily pointed. 3 figures stood near the slide. Too small to be adults, too still to be playing. Ethan zoomed in with his camera. The shapes didn't sharpen, they stayed blurry, like the camera couldn't focus on them properly. Caleb whispered, "They're not moving." One of the figures turned its head, slowly, unnaturally far, and looked directly at them. Lily started crying. Ethan lowered the phone. "Okay," he said, "we're leaving." The moment he turned around, his phone vibrated. A notification appeared from Randonautica. Destination reached. Ethan felt a wave of nausea. "We didn't even type anything," Caleb said. Another vibration. Another message. Intention accepted. Lily screamed. The swings stopped moving. All at once. The figures by the slide stepped forward. That's when Ethan realized something deeply wrong. They weren't children. They were shaped like children. But their proportions were wrong. Arms slightly too long. Heads tilted at uncomfortable angles. Legs stiff, like they weren't used to walking. One of them raised its arm and waved. Caleb whispered, "That one looks like me." Ethan looked again. It did. Same height, same haircut, same clothes. Then another stepped forward. It looked like Lily. Same jacket, same shoes. The third figure didn't move. It just stood there, watching. Ethan grabbed both siblings' hands and ran behind them. The sound of footsteps followed. Too many footsteps. Small, uneven, scraping. They reached the edge of the park and stopped. The streetlights flickered. The neighborhood beyond the trees looked wrong, dimmer, farther away, like it wasn't fully connected anymore. Caleb tried to pull free. "I hear Mum," he said. Ethan didn't hear anything, but Lily did. "She's calling us," Lily whispered. Ethan shook his head. "No, she's not." Behind them, the footsteps stopped. A voice spoke, not loud, not threatening, gentle, curious. "You didn't tell us what you wanted." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "I didn't want anything," he said. Silence. Then the voice replied, "That's not true." The playground lights flickered on. They hadn't been working in years. The figures were closer now, close enough that Ethan could see their faces. They were smooth, too smooth. No eyebrows, no eyelashes, just eyes and mouths. And their eyes were wrong, too dark, too reflective, like mirrors. The one that looked like Caleb smiled. It smiled too wide. "We can guess," it said. Ethan felt something brush his back. A small hand, cold, too many fingers. Lily screamed again. The streetlights flared suddenly, flooding the park entrance with light. The figures recoiled, not in pain, in surprise. The voice spoke again, sharper this time. "We'll finish later." The lights went out. The park was empty. No figures, no footsteps. Just the swings, moving again. The siblings ran home. They locked the door. They turned on every light. They didn't sleep. Their mother came home just after sunrise. She found them sitting together on a couch. Silent, wide-eyed, she thought they were just scared from a bad dream. Until Lily asked her something. "Mum," she said, "did you ever want another Ethan?" Their mother laughed nervously. "No, honey." Lily frowned. Ethan deleted Randonautica, but the app still appears on his phone sometimes, uninstalled, unavailable. Just an icon. And sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet, Ethan hears the sound of swings outside, moving, waiting. Randonautica is supposed to give you a fixed point, a single destination, one place to arrive. This story begins when that rule stopped applying. This account is based on a missing persons case briefly discussed in regional news outlets in early 2022. Combined with first-hand statements shared anonymously in private forums before being deleted. Names and identifying details have been changed, but timestamps, screenshots, and GPS logs were preserved. The witness was a woman named Kara. She was 32 years old and lived in southern Arizona, on the outskirts of a small desert town where the land stretches wide and empty and help is never close. Kara's younger cousin, Miguel, had been missing for 3 weeks. He had gone hiking alone in the desert, something he'd done dozens of times before. This time, he didn't come back. Search teams found his car parked at a trailhead. His phone was inside. His backpack was not. There were no tracks leading away from the trail. The desert had swallowed him. Kara refused to accept that. She spent nights online, reading theories, stories, and anything that hinted at answers. That's how she found the app. She didn't believe it could help. But she also didn't believe Miguel had simply vanished. Late one night, Kara opened the app. The intention box appeared. She hesitated, then typed, "Find Miguel." The app generated coordinates 30 miles outside town, deep desert, too far from the official search area. Kara took screenshots. She drove out at dawn. The road deteriorated quickly. Paved turned to dirt, dirt turned to sand. Cell service dropped out entirely. Her GPS still worked, barely. When Kara reached the coordinates, she stopped the car. There was nothing there. No body, no backpack, no sign of human presence. Just open desert. She stepped out of the car. The heat hit her instantly. As she checked the coordinates again, her phone vibrated. The pin moved. "What the hell?" she whispered. The new point was further east, toward a dry wash. Kara followed it. She recorded her screen. The footage still exists. You can see the pin moving while her feet are completely still. That's when she noticed something else. The temperature on her car display was wrong. It read 20 degrees cooler than it should have been. The desert around her felt muted. No wind, no insects, no distant animal movement. She reached a cluster of boulders near the wash. The coordinates stopped moving. They settled right in front of her. Kara approached cautiously, and then she smelled it. Decay, not fresh, old, dry, like something that had been exposed for too long. She saw the backpack first. Miguel's backpack, torn open, contents scattered, a water bottle, a shirt, a single shoe. Kara screamed for him. No answer. Then she heard footsteps, slow, dragging, coming from behind the rocks. Kara turned, expecting an animal. What stepped out wasn't Miguel, but it was wearing his clothes. The shirt was wrong on it, stretched, pulled, as if the body underneath wasn't shaped correctly. Its head tilted when it saw her, not in recognition, in evaluation. Kara backed away. "Where is he?" she shouted. The thing took a step forward, and the coordinates on her phone updated again. Now they were behind her, right where she was standing. Her phone vibrated. Destination reached. Kara ran. She didn't look back. She didn't stop until she reached her car. As she drove away, her phone vibrated one last time. Kara reported what she found to police. They searched the area. They found the backpack, nothing else. Miguel was officially declared deceased 6 months later. Cause: exposure. No remains recovered. Kara still has the video of the moving coordinates. She's never shared it publicly. She says the reason is simple. At the very end of the recording, just before she stops filming, the pin jumps. Not to the desert, not to Miguel, but to her home address. She's never opened Randonautica again. But sometimes, when she drives alone at night, her GPS recalculates, without reason, without destination, and for just a moment, the coordinates lead back to her. Most Randonautica stories end when the app is deleted. This one didn't. This account is drawn from a live stream that lasted just under 40 minutes, before it was abruptly taken offline in early 2022. The original channel was deleted the same night. Only partial re-uploads, clipped audio and chat logs remain. The streamer went by the name Owen. He was 27 years old and known for urban exploration content, abandoned buildings, closed tunnels, places people weren't supposed to go. Randonautica was supposed to be a joke. Owen announced to his audience that he was going to prove the app was fake. He went live from an industrial area outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Warehouses, rail lines, and unused service roads. Thousands watched. Owen opened the app on stream. The intention box appeared. He smiled. "I'm not typing anything," he said. "Let's see what it does." The chat flooded with messages. "Type something. It won't work. This is fake." Owen pressed generate. The app lagged, then produced coordinates. The chat exploded. Owen laughed. Guess it didn't need an intention. The point was close. Less than a mile, behind one of the warehouses. Owen walked, narrating casually, joking with chat. But viewers noticed something before he did. The comments started scrolling faster. Why is it following you? Check the map. Dude, stop. Owen looked down. The pin wasn't fixed. It was moving, matching his pace, staying exactly 20 feet ahead. Owen stopped walking. The pin stopped. He laughed again. Probably GPS drift, but his voice was tighter now. He continued. The warehouse came into view. Its doors were open. They hadn't been earlier. The pin moved inside. Owen hesitated. Chat begged him not to go in. He did anyway. The interior was massive, empty. His footsteps echoed too loudly. The pin stopped in the center of the floor. Destination reached. The lights flickered. The chat noticed something behind him, a shadow that didn't match his movements. Someone typed, "Turn around." Owen didn't. He heard breathing, not his own. Slow, measured, too close to the microphone. Owen's smile vanished. "Okay," he said quietly. "That's not funny." The breathing continued. The pin moved again. This time, it moved onto Owen's icon. The chat froze. Messages stopped scrolling. The viewer count dropped to 0. Owen whispered, "Why does it say I arrived at myself?" Something touched him. You hear the sound, a hand on fabric, a sharp inhale. Then Owen screamed. The stream cut to black. The final audio clip, pulled from the stream buffer, is 12 seconds long. You can hear Owen crying, begging, saying, "I didn't ask." A voice responds, "You were here." Owen was reported missing 2 days later. His phone was found inside the warehouse. The app was open, no intention typed. Coordinates set to the exact spot where he was standing. The case is unsolved. Randonautica claims to be a tool, a generator, a coincidence machine. But across hundreds of stories, the same patterns appear. The app responds. The locations feel deliberate. And the moment people stop treating it like a game, something changes. Some say it's psychology. Some say it's randomness. Others believe it's something older. Something that doesn't need permission. Because the most disturbing detail across every account isn't what people find. It's when they're found. If these stories are just coincidence, then coincidence is watching, and if they aren't, then maybe the real danger was never the app. It was the moment someone realized they were never alone to begin with. Thank you for watching The Dark and Strange.